Falcon versus hawk. Who would win a fight? Picture this. You are standing in an open field, looking up. Two sharp silhouettes cut across the sky. One moves like a thrown knife, tucking its wings and dropping out of the clouds at speeds most sports cars will never reach. The other circles wide and patient, scanning the ground below with eyes that can spot a mouse from 100 feet up. Both are predators, both are ruthless, both are built to kill. But here is the question that has been floating around nature documentaries, bird forums, and probably a few heated debates at the dinner table. If a falcon and a hawk ever squared off in a real fight, who would walk away? Or rather, fly away? Is it the falcon, the fastest animal on Earth, the one that turns gravity into a weapon? Or is it the hawk, the patient ambush hunter with the grip strength of a pair of vice pliers and the muscle to back it up? Speed versus strength, precision versus power, the aerial assassin versus the forest sniper. This is not a simple question, and anyone who gives you a one-word answer is probably guessing. The truth is more interesting than that. To figure out who would win, we first need to understand what each of these birds actually is, how they are built, how they hunt, and what makes them dangerous. Once we know all of that, the answer becomes a lot clearer. So let us get into it. Falcon versus hawk, round by round. What do they actually look like? Before we get to claws and blood, let us start with looks, because how these birds are built tells you almost everything about what they are designed to do. Falcons are sleek. There is no other word for it. They have long pointed wings that taper like the blade of a kitchen knife. Their bodies are slim and compact, built to cut through air with as little resistance as possible. Their tails are relatively short and narrow, which helps them stay on course during high-speed dives. If you had to pick a car equivalent, the Falcon is a Formula One racing car. Everything is trimmed down, aerodynamic, and designed for one purpose: going very, very fast. Hawks look a bit different. They are generally broader and more muscular. Their wings are wide and rounded, which is perfect for soaring and gliding. Their tails are fan-shaped and wider than a falcon's, giving them better control when maneuvering through tight forest environments. If the Falcon is a race car, the hawk is a military helicopter. Slower, yes, but powerful and built to operate in difficult terrain. There is also one very specific physical difference that most people have never heard of, and it is actually one of the most important ones in this entire comparison. Falcons have a special notch on their beak called the tomial tooth. It is not a real tooth like yours, but it functions like one. This notch allows a falcon to sever the spine cord or the neck of its prey with one precise bite. Hawks do not have this. Their beaks are strong and curved for tearing flesh, but they do not have that built-in killing tool. In terms of color, both birds vary a lot by species, but falcons often show that classic dark-backed, pale-bellied look, especially the peregrine falcon, which also sports a distinctive dark mustache stripe on its face. Red-tailed hawks, one of the most common hawk species in North America, are famous for their brick red tail and brown streaked chest. You have probably seen one sitting on a telephone pole on the highway and not even realized it. Taxonomically speaking, these two are not even that closely related. Falcons belong to the family Falconidae, while hawks fall under Accipitridae. In fact, recent genetic research has shown that falcons are more closely related to parrots than they are to hawks. Yes, really. The bird you thought was basically a faster hawk is actually closer in the family tree to the bird that talks back to you. Nature is wild. Size matters, kind of. Now let us talk numbers. This matters for the fight, obviously. Hawks are generally the bigger bird. Take the red-tailed hawk, one of North America's most recognized species. It can reach up to 22 inches, 56 centimeters in length, with a wingspan stretching to about 4 feet, 1.2 meters. Some of the larger buteo hawks, like the ferruginous hawk, are even bigger. On the heavier end, large female red-tailed hawks can weigh close to 3.5 pounds, 1.6 kilograms. Falcons tend to be smaller and lighter. The peregrine falcon, which is the star of the falcon world, measures between 14 to 19 inches, 35 to 48 centimeters long, with a wingspan of roughly 3 to 3.5 feet, 0.9 to 1 meter. The American kestrel, the smallest falcon in North America, weighs just around 4 ounces, 113 grams. That is basically the weight of a large apple. Cute, but also terrifying when you remember it still hunts prey with deadly efficiency. That said, size is not fixed. There is a wide range across both groups. A large female peregrine and a small male red-tailed hawk can end up being pretty close in weight. And there are hawks like the northern goshawk, a powerful accipiter that are built more like a miniature eagle than what most people picture when they think of a hawk. In a fight between the two groups overall, though, the size advantage goes to hawks. They are bigger, heavier, and carry more physical muscle mass. In any close quarters encounter, that bulk counts. But as we will see, size is only one piece of the puzzle. Where they live and why it matters. Where an animal lives shapes everything about how it hunts, how it fights, and what advantage it has in a confrontation. Falcons are wide open spaces birds. They thrive in places like coastal cliffs, open tundra, desert edges, and grasslands, anywhere they can get altitude and use their speed without obstacles getting in the way. The peregrine falcon is one of the most widespread birds on the planet, found on every continent except Antarctica. And here is a fun fact. They have adapted so well to urban life that they now rest on skyscrapers and bridges in major cities, hunting pigeons above the streets. New York City has a population of peregrine falcons living on its buildings. They basically turned Manhattan into a cliff. You have to respect the hustle. Hawks are more versatile. While some species prefer open farmland, others like the Cooper's hawk and the northern goshawk are woodland specialists. They hunt through trees, weaving between branches at high speed to catch prey. Their broad, rounded wings are actually built for this kind of flying, allowing them to make sharp, tight turns that a falcon, with its long, pointed wings, would struggle to execute in dense forest. The habitat difference is genuinely important to the fight question. In open sky, the falcon's speed is a massive advantage. In a forest or wooded area, the hawk is in its element and has the edge in maneuverability. A fight between these two would play out very differently depending on the environment. Offensive weapons. What they use to kill. This is where things get interesting. These two birds kill differently, and understanding that is the key to the whole question. The falcon's number one weapon is speed. The peregrine falcon is the fastest animal on Earth. Full stop, no asterisks. During its hunting dive, known as a stoop, it folds its wings tight against its body and drops like a missile. Documented speeds exceed 240 miles per hour, 386 kilometers per hour. That is faster than a Formula One car on a straight. When a falcon hits prey at that speed, the impact alone can be fatal. The prey often does not see it coming. There is no time to react. It is like getting hit by a car. Then, once the prey is struck or grabbed, the falcon uses that specialized tomial notch on its beak to deliver a precise killing bite to the neck or spine. This is fast, clean, and efficient. Falcons do not wrestle, they execute. Hawks take a different approach. They are more patient hunters. A hawk will sit quietly on a perch, sometimes for a long time, watching the ground below with extraordinary vision. When it spots something, it drops silently and grabs the prey with its talons. And those talons are serious business. Hawk talons are strong, sharp, and designed to grip and crush. They do not just hold prey, they squeeze it. A red-tailed hawk can exert significant grip pressure, enough to puncture and immobilize even small mammals. The hawk then uses its curved beak to finish the job by tearing into the prey. So to summarize, falcons kill with speed and a precision strike to a vital point. Hawks kill with grip strength, overwhelming their prey by holding it down and crushing it. One is a sniper, the other is a wrestler. Both are very good at what they do. Defensive weapons. How they protect themselves. Being a predator does not mean you are never in danger yourself. Both of these birds have defensive capabilities worth knowing about. The falcon's primary defense is the same thing as its offense: speed. If a falcon sees a threat coming, it can simply get out of the way faster than almost anything else can follow. A diving falcon is nearly impossible to intercept. They are also incredibly agile at speed, capable of rapid direction changes that makes them very hard to hit. Falcons are also notoriously aggressive when defending their nesting territory. There are documented cases of peregrine falcons attacking and driving off much larger birds, including eagles and ospreys, by repeatedly dive-bombing them. A wildlife photographer in Los Angeles captured exactly this on camera, footage showing a female peregrine launching repeated high-speed attacks on red foxes that came too close to her nest. Despite the foxes being significantly larger, they retreated. Hawks bring a different kind of defense. Their talons, which are their main offensive tool, are equally effective at defense. A hawk that is grabbed or cornered can flip onto its back and rake with both feet simultaneously, which is a well-documented defensive posture in raptors. Their larger body mass also means they can absorb more physical punishment in a direct confrontation. Hawks are also known for their vocal nature, and many species use loud calls to alert others or intimidate rivals, something falcons do less often. Both birds are also capable of what birders call mobbing behavior, where they aggressively pursue and harass larger or rival birds to drive them away from a territory. This is more commonly observed in hawks, which tend to be more territorial and confrontational in their daily behavior. The fight. Who actually wins? Alright, this is what you came for. Let us put all of this together and actually answer the question. First, a disclaimer that any honest wildlife writer will give you. There is no single answer that covers every possible matchup, because there are roughly 60 species of falcons and well over 200 species of hawks, and many of them are wildly different from each other in size and capability. A tiny American kestrel versus a massive northern goshawk is not a fair comparison. So let us keep this grounded in the most commonly discussed and representative matchup: a peregrine falcon against a red-tailed hawk. Both medium to large birds, both common, both capable. In open sky, the falcon wins. It is not even close. The peregrine's speed advantage is simply too great. No hawk can match that kind of velocity in the air. If a peregrine decided to go after a red-tailed hawk in open airspace, it could approach from altitude, use its stoop to generate maximum velocity, and deliver a strike before the hawk even registered the threat. That tomial tooth bite to the neck, delivered at the end of a 200-mile-per-hour dive, is as lethal a weapon as anything in the bird world. The peregrine is not just fast, it is precise. Researchers who mounted tiny cameras on falcons for a published study in the Journal of Experimental Biology found that falcons track prey by keeping their target visually stationary in their field of view as they close in, a remarkably sophisticated targeting system that makes their strikes extraordinarily accurate. However, if the setting shifts to a forest or wooded area, the dynamic changes. In tight quarters, the falcon's speed becomes a liability rather than an asset. Long pointed wings are not great for weaving through tree branches. The hawk, especially an accipiter like a Cooper's hawk or a goshawk, is adapted for exactly this kind of environment. These hawks can change direction rapidly in dense cover and are explosive in short bursts. If a hawk managed to get inside the falcon's striking distance and lock those talons onto the falcon's body, the grip strength and body weight of the hawk would become a decisive factor. A falcon being held by hawk talons cannot dive. Without speed, the falcon loses its biggest weapon. What about documented real encounters? There are recorded observations of peregrine falcons actively attacking and chasing away hawks, particularly when defending territories. Birders and wildlife watchers have noted and filmed instances of peregrines dive-bombing larger raptors, including hawks, to drive them off. In these cases, the falcon uses its speed advantage to strike repeatedly without allowing the larger bird to get a grip. The hawk typically retreats rather than escalate. This pattern, hawks backing down from falcon harassment, shows up often enough in the field that it tells us something real about how these confrontations tend to play out in practice. That said, there are also records and observations of large hawks, particularly goshawks and red-tailed hawks, successfully fighting off or even killing falcons in close-range confrontations. A goshawk, which is built more robustly than most people picture when they think of a hawk, is not something even a peregrine would want to tangle with at close range. So here is the honest, evidence-based verdict. In a one-on-one fight in open sky, the peregrine falcon wins the majority of the time. Its speed, precision, and that killing notch on the beak give it a decisive offensive edge that the hawk simply cannot match in that environment. The falcon dictates the terms of engagement, stays at range, dives fast, and hits hard. The hawk never gets a chance to use its strength because it can never close the distance. But in close quarters or dense forest, the hawk becomes the favorite. The size and grip strength of a large hawk, combined with the ability to maneuver in tight spaces, tips the balance significantly. In this scenario, the falcon is fighting in the hawk's world, and that is a dangerous place to be. The environment in the end is probably the single biggest factor in who wins. These are not just two birds with different stats. They are two different design philosophies, two completely different answers to the question of how to be an effective aerial predator. One chose speed, the other chose power. And depending on where the fight happens, either of those choices can be the winning one. Next time you see a large bird soaring overhead or perched on a power line by the highway, take a second look. Is the tail fan-shaped and the wings broad and rounded? That is your hawk. Are the wings long, narrow, and tapered to a point? Falcon. Both are watching something, and whatever that something is, it is not having a great day.